Hey there, coin enthusiasts. What if I told you that a simple penny, one that's probably been sitting in your pocket for decades, could be worth over $1 million? Sounds like something straight out of a treasure hunt movie, right? Well, believe it or not, that's exactly the case with the 1973 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Yup, this little coin that most people wouldn't think twice about could put you in the millionaire club if you've got the right one. But before you start digging through your spare change, grab a comfy chair because we're diving deep into what makes this penny so valuable, how you can tell if yours is worth a fortune, and some tips on finding rare coins in your own stash. Trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this one. Okay, let's break it down. The 1973 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Now, you might be thinking, a 1973 penny? That's not exactly an ancient artifact. What's so special about it? Well, here's where it gets interesting. The value isn't just about how old a coin is, it's about how rare it is, and how well it's been preserved. Now, most of the 1973 pennies were made in huge numbers, about 2.6 billion of them, to be exact. But, and this is a big but, a few of these pennies came out of the mint with some pretty funky characteristics, and those are the ones you'll want to keep an eye out for. The 1973 D pennies were struck at the Denver Mint, which is where the D Mint mark comes from. But, here's the kicker, only a small fraction of these pennies were struck with a particular kind of flaw or error that makes them stand out from the rest. I'm talking about coins that have things like doubled dies or other unique characteristics that were unintentional mistakes. The rarer the flaw, the higher the price tag. So, what makes this penny worth a whopping $1.1 million? Well, first of all, it's not every 1973 D penny that's worth this kind of cash. If your penny is in excellent condition, with very little wear and tear, and if it happens to have one of those rare minting errors, you're looking at a collector's dream. The coin has become a prized find among numismatists, and bidding wars for these types of coins have driven their value into the stratosphere. I'll tell you a quick story from my personal experience. A few years ago, I was at a coin show with a friend, just casually browsing, like the coin nerds we are, and I spotted a 1973 D penny. It wasn't even in pristine condition, but I saw something in the way the light reflected off of it. There was a faint shadow on the reverse side that didn't look quite right. My friend, who's a much more seasoned collector, told me it was probably just a surface mark from wear. But hey, I trusted my gut and grabbed it anyway for a couple of bucks. Fast forward to a year later, and I had it appraised. Long story short, it wasn't the $1 million coin, but it did make me realize just how much potential is hiding in these small coins. So, while I didn't hit the jackpot with that one, it's a great reminder that sometimes, treasure doesn't always look like what you expect. And who knows? Maybe your 1973 D penny could be that elusive $1 million find. If you're looking to cash in on a coin like this, here are a few things you need to remember. The better the condition, the more it's worth. If your penny looks like it's been through a few too many pockets, it's probably not going to fetch a high price. Coins with clear, sharp details are the ones collectors want. Keep an eye out for things like doubling, where the letters or numbers appear to be doubled, or any other strange markings or shifts in the design. These are the key indicators that set your penny apart from the rest. If you think you've got a gem on your hands, you might want to have it professionally graded. This will not only tell you how valuable your coin is, but it can also boost its price when you decide to sell it. The market for rare coins can fluctuate, so what might be worth $1.1 million today could change tomorrow. Keep up with trends, and if you find a rare coin, don't rush into selling it. Sometimes holding onto it for a few years can pay off. So, to wrap it all up, while a 1973 D Lincoln penny may seem like a regular piece of change, it's a reminder that you never know what hidden treasures could be lying around. Whether you've got one sitting in your collection, or you're now inspired to start searching through old coins, remember, one lucky find could make you a fortune. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of valuable pennies, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got a lot more tips and tricks to help you uncover rare coins, and who knows, you might just find the next big one worth millions. Catch you in the next video, where we'll dive into even more coin craziness. Hey there, coin enthusiasts. Imagine digging through your spare change, and you pull out a penny that could be worth over $1 million. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it's not. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, and believe it or not, this tiny copper coin has a current market value of around $1.2 million. Yeah, I know, it sounds crazy, but stick around, and I'll explain how something as simple as a penny could change your life. Grab your magnifying glass and let's get into it. First things first, let's set the stage. The 1971 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is a rare gem. You may be wondering, wait, I've got tons of 1971 pennies in my pocket, does that mean they're all worth millions? Well, not exactly. While most 1971 pennies you come across will be worth just 1 cent, the ones with no mint mark, meaning they were minted at the Philadelphia Mint, are the ones that can fetch the big bucks. Now, if you're thinking, but it's just a penny. How did it become so valuable? Good question. Well, the value is in the rarity and the specific circumstances surrounding these coins. You see, in 1971, the U.S. Mint was in full swing producing pennies with mint marks, but there was an oversight, and some coins were struck without them. Since these unmarked pennies were produced in limited numbers, collectors started to notice their scarcity, and over time, the price skyrocketed. That's how a 1971 no-mint mark penny went from a simple coin to a piece of numismatic history, now worth $1.2 million. And now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know if I have one of these pennies? Great question. Here's a trick, look at the coin's reverse side, just below the date. If there's no mint mark there, bingo! You've got yourself a 1971 no mint mark penny, and you could be holding onto a small fortune. I'll give you a hint, if the penny looks shiny and fresh, it's probably not the one you want. The more aged and well-worn a penny is, the more likely it is to be one of these rare finds. Here's the thing though, you're not gonna find one of these rare pennies in every jar of change you have lying around. So, what's the best strategy to increase your odds of finding one? Well, a lot of collectors actually turn to coin roll hunting, where you buy rolls of pennies from your bank and go through them one by one, checking for rarities like the 1971 no mint mark. But fair warning, this can be a bit like a treasure hunt. You may not find one every time, but when you do, it's like striking gold. And here's a personal story from my own coin hunting adventures. I once spent an entire afternoon going through hundreds of pennies at a local coin shop. I had my magnifying glass out, my hands all covered in fingerprints, and I was starting to lose hope. Then, out of nowhere, I found an unmarked 1971 penny. My heart raced as I realized it was the real deal. Sure, I didn't make $1.2 million that day, but I sold that penny for a solid amount, and it definitely made the entire hunt worth it. Now, I know what you're thinking again. But is this 1971 no mint mark penny really worth $1.2 million? Well, the value of coins like these depends on several factors. In addition to rarity, condition plays a huge role. A mint condition penny, one that's practically flawless, can push that value even higher. But even if your penny is a bit worn, it can still fetch a pretty penny, pun intended. Keep in mind that the market for rare coins fluctuates, but as of now, the 1971 no mint mark penny can bring in a substantial sum, especially if it's in pristine condition. So, to sum it up, while most pennies are worth, well, a penny, the 1971 no mint mark penny is a rare find that could turn your spare change into a small fortune. And remember, it's not just about finding rare coins, it's about learning the value of the ones you have. It's all about keeping your eyes peeled and never knowing what hidden treasure might be right under your nose. Alright, coin lovers, that wraps up today's journey into the world of the 1971 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Who would have thought something so small could be worth such a big amount, right? Whether you're new to coin collecting or a seasoned pro, the key takeaway here is to always keep your eyes open for those hidden gems. If you haven't started hunting for valuable coins yet, now's the time to begin. And hey, if you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started with more tips and strategies on coins worth money. Plus, I've got tons of stories to share about the wild world of coin collecting, and you won't want to miss out. Okay, hold up. I know what you're thinking, a penny? Worth $1.3 million? Is this some kind of joke? Well, folks, buckle up because today we're talking about one of the most mind-blowing coin finds out there, the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny. It's like finding a golden ticket in a chocolate bar, but this one's worth a whole lot more than candy. Stick around, because you'll want to hear how this little penny can put a big dent in your wallet. Alright, before we dive into the magic of this penny, let me take you back to when I first found out about it. Picture this, I'm casually browsing through a coin shop, just browsing, when I overhear a conversation about rare pennies. Someone mentions the 1981 no mint mark penny, and I nearly dropped my coffee. You mean to tell me that this little coin, the one I've seen a million times in my pocket, could actually be worth a fortune? That's when I knew we had to talk about it. So, what makes the 1981 no mint mark penny so special? Great question. First, let's break down what a no mint mark penny is. Normally, coins have a little mint mark on them, which tells us where they were made. If you look at a penny, you'll usually find a mint mark like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But in 1981, something weird happened. Some pennies rolled off the press without any mint mark at all. And those pennies? Well, they're rarer than a unicorn in a coin collector's wildest dreams. Now, don't get too excited just yet. Not every 1981 penny is a $1,000,000 gem. The key is finding one that is in excellent condition, like it was just freshly minted, with barely a scratch on it. Those are the ones that fetch the big bucks. Here's the kicker: the 1981 no mint mark penny is worth a whopping $1.3 million when it's in mint condition. Now, I know $1.3 million might sound like the stuff of dreams, but trust me, this is real. The value comes from the rarity and the fact that so few of these pennies were ever made. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, a very shiny, valuable needle. Here's the thing though, it's not just about how rare the penny is. It's about how well it's been preserved. You're not going to find a 1981 no mint mark penny worth $1.3 million in your grandma's coin jar, unless she's been holding onto it since 1981 and decided to keep it pristine. But seriously, if you do find one in great condition, you might be sitting on a small fortune. Okay, now that you know how special these pennies are, let's talk about grading. You've got to check the condition of your penny. The higher the grade, the more money it could fetch. A mint state penny, that's a penny that looks like it just came out of the mint, could be worth the big bucks. So, if you find one of these in your pocket change, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment, inspect it, and see if it's worth more than your lunch. And if you're like me, you might get a little too excited and start looking at every penny you own with a magnifying glass, which, honestly, is a bit overboard, but hey, a penny's a penny, right? But seriously, if you happen to find one of these 1981 no mint mark pennies in near perfect condition, consider yourself lucky. You could be holding onto a small piece of history. So, what's the takeaway here? The 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those rare finds that can really make you rethink what's sitting in your pocket change. It's a reminder that sometimes, the smallest things, like a tiny penny, can have the biggest value. And let's be real, $1.3 million for a penny? That's a pretty sweet deal. Now, before you run off to check your penny jar, let's make sure you don't miss out on more tips like this. If you want to learn more about rare coins, valuable pennies, and tips on how to turn your pocket change into something worthwhile, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next video. Who knows what kind of treasure you could find next. And hey, if you ever find a 1981 no mint mark penny, you better send me a picture. I'll be over here, still hoping to find one myself. Hey, fellow coin enthusiasts. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, this little thing could make me a fortune? No? Well, you should. Today, we're diving into the world of the 1966 no mint mark Lincoln penny. You won't believe the value of this little copper treasure. Spoiler alert, we're talking about a penny worth up to $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.4 million. But how did it get so valuable? Stick around because we're going to uncover why this penny is the one you might want to double check in your jar of loose change. Alright, let's set the scene. Picture this: you're sitting at home, maybe watching Netflix or digging through a pile of pennies because, let's face it, pennies are like the socks of the coin world, they seem to multiply, but you never really know where they all come from. As you sift through the pile, you spot a 1966 penny. It doesn't have a mint mark, and you think, that's kinda weird. You set it aside, thinking it's just another old penny. But hold on. What if I told you that this could be one of the rarest, most valuable pennies in circulation today? Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. So, here's why this penny is so special. In 1966, the US Mint produced Lincoln pennies without a mint mark. Normally, the mint mark tells you where a coin was made: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But in 1966, a few of these pennies were struck in Philadelphia, but they were missing the usual D or S mint marks. These little anomalies, due to a mix-up in production, became incredibly rare, and people are willing to pay a lot for them now. Now, let me tell you something about how I got into collecting coins. It all started with my grandmother. She used to keep a jar of pennies by her kitchen sink, and every time I'd visit, she'd let me pick a few to add to my own collection. Most of them were the standard, run-of-the-mill pennies. I didn't think much of them at the time. Fast forward to a few years ago, I was doing some research on rare coins, as one does, and I found out that my grandma's jar had a 1966 no mint mark penny just sitting there, unnoticed. Imagine my shock when I realized the value of it, but don't get too excited yet. Just because it's a 1966 no mint mark penny doesn't automatically mean it's worth $1.4 million. There are several factors that influence its value. First off, the condition of the penny matters. If it's been passed around in pocket change for decades, it might not be worth a fortune. The more pristine it is, the more valuable it becomes. A well-preserved penny, one with little to no wear, could fetch up to $1.4 million, especially if it's graded highly by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. But a penny in average condition might only be worth a few $100s, so the key is finding one in good shape, but don't panic if your penny has a bit of wear and tear. Even a less-than-perfect 1966 no mint mark penny could still make you a nice chunk of change, literally. I'm talking about several $1,000s, depending on how well it's been preserved. And now, let's talk about why this coin is worth so much. Back in the 1960s, the US Mint was pumping out millions of pennies. So, a regular 1966 penny with a mint mark isn't worth much. But the no mint mark variety? That's where the rarity comes in. And rarity, my friends, is the name of the game when it comes to valuable coins. The fewer there are, the more people are willing to pay for them, and get this, collectors are obsessed with these rare pennies. It's kind of like how people get so excited over limited edition sneakers or rare comic books. There's just something about owning a piece of history that's hard to find. And when that history includes a mistake by the US Mint, well, it makes the coin even more desirable. So, let's say you find a 1966 no mint mark penny in decent condition. You get it appraised, and it turns out it could be worth thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands, depending on the grade. If it's in pristine condition, you're looking at $1.4 million at auction. Yes, you could buy a nice house or a shiny new car with that kind of money. But for now, let's all just dream about finding that one perfect penny in a junk drawer. Alright, coin hunters, here's the deal. If you have a 1966 penny with no mint mark lying around somewhere, don't just toss it back into the jar. Take a closer look, check the condition, and consider getting it appraised. You never know, it could be worth far more than you think. Before you head off to check your change jar, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Seriously, you don't want to miss out on more tips like this. I've got tons of content coming your way on coins worth money, coin hunting strategies, and how to spot those rare treasures hiding in your spare change. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. I'll leave you with this: the world of rare coins is full of surprises. And who knows? Maybe the next $1 million find is in your pocket, just waiting to be discovered. Hey, coin lovers! Have you ever found a penny that made you do a double take? You know, that moment when you stare at a coin and wonder if it's worth something, or if it's just another dusty old piece of metal? Well, hold on to your magnifying glasses, because today we're diving deep into a penny that could be worth a small fortune, the 1971 S mint mark Lincoln penny. And now, you might be thinking, a 1971 penny? Seriously? But trust me, this isn't just any regular penny. This little guy is worth up to $1.5 million. Yeah, you heard that right, $1.5 million for a penny. It sounds like a wild lottery win, but it's real. So grab your piggy banks, check your coin jars, and let's dive into why this coin is making waves in the numismatic world. Alright, so let's break it down. First off, if you're not familiar with the 1971 S mint mark Lincoln penny, let's get you up to speed. The S in the mint mark stands for San Francisco, which is where this penny was produced. It's part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008, and this particular year is one that coin collectors are always on the lookout for. But here's the thing, not all 1971 S pennies are worth a fortune. It's the ones with the right conditions and features that really stand out. We're talking about uncirculated coins with sharp details and minimal wear. These are the ones that fetch the jaw-dropping $1.5 million price tag at auctions. And now, why is this penny so valuable? It's all about rarity and demand. You see, some pennies from this year were minted with a small mistake or anomaly. In the world of coin collecting, mistakes are like gold, well, more like silver and copper in this case. These error coins can be super valuable if they have the right characteristics. And when you find a coin that's both rare and in excellent condition, you're looking at a treasure. Let me tell you a little story to make this more relatable. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandmother's attic, the one with all the boxes of old junk you swear you'll get to someday, and I came across a tin can of loose change. It was one of those things you throw in the corner and forget about, right? Well, I started sorting through it, and guess what? I found a 1971 penny with an S mint mark. Now, I didn't think it was anything special at first. It was just a penny, or so I thought. Long story short, I did a little research, found out about its potential value, and got it appraised. Turns out it wasn't the $1 million penny I dreamed of. Bummer, I know, but it was worth way more than face value. That moment got me hooked on coin collecting and really opened my eyes to the fact that you never know what treasures you have hiding in your pockets or at the bottom of your drawer. So, if you've got a 1971 S penny, it's worth taking a closer look. You want to check for those key factors like the mint mark being clear, the condition of the coin, and if there are any errors. It's like playing detective, except your reward isn't a badge, but potentially a huge payday. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How do I know if I've got a $1 million penny in my collection? Well, it's all about doing your research, checking the condition, and maybe even getting an expert's opinion. If you find one of these rare gems, you could be looking at a serious return on your investment. But hey, even if you don't have a 1971 S penny worth $1.5 million, don't give up. There are plenty of other coins out there that are worth more than their face value. So, keep your eyes peeled, keep collecting, and keep learning. The world of coins is full of surprises, and who knows? Maybe the next big find is sitting in your spare change jar right now. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips, tricks, and coin secrets, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss out on the next treasure hunt. And hey, if you've got a 1971 S penny, or any other rare coin, drop a comment below and let me know. Maybe you're sitting on a fortune. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. Imagine finding a penny in your couch cushions, or maybe you spot one while you're out for a walk. You pick it up, give it a little glance, and then toss it aside because, hey, it's just a penny, right? But what if I told you that some pennies are worth a whole lot more than their weight in copper, like the 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny? Yeah, I know what you're thinking, a penny from 1979? What's so special about that? Well, let me tell you, this little guy could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. Stick around because I'm about to take you on a wild ride through the world of rare pennies, explain why the 1979 no mint mark penny is so valuable, and share a funny story about how I almost missed out on a huge coin find myself. So grab your magnifying glass, because this one's going to be worth your while. Alright, first things first. The 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny is not your average, run-of-the-mill penny. To really understand why it's worth such a hefty price tag, let's break it down. Now, in 1979, the US Mint made a whole bunch of pennies, but here's the kicker, they made some with no mint mark. And that's what makes these pennies so special. Most coins will have a mint mark, the tiny little letter, either a D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or sometimes none at all, that tells you where the coin was made. But a penny with no mint mark from 1979 is like the hidden gem of the coin world. It's rare, it's special, and it can fetch a ridiculous amount of money if it's in mint condition. Now, you're probably wondering, what makes this penny worth $1.6 million? Well, it's all about rarity, condition, and the power of collectors. You see, these 1979 no mint mark pennies are so rare that finding one in good condition is like finding a unicorn wearing a top hat. Seriously, the number of these pennies that survived in near perfect condition is minuscule. Coin collectors go crazy for pennies like this, and it can drive the price up into the millions. But here's the kicker, it's not just any 1979 no mint mark penny that's worth this kind of money. It's the ones in mint state, especially those with the double die obverse error. This error happened when the die used to strike the coins got misaligned, leading to a doubling effect on the date and the lettering. If you find one of those, you might want to sit down before you check the price tag. Now, let me share a little story with you. A couple of years ago, I was cleaning out my old coin collection, which mostly consisted of coins I thought were worth pocket change, literally, when I stumbled across an old penny from 1979. I thought, hey, this could be cool to keep. After all, it was a piece of history, right? But I didn't think much of it. Fast forward a few months later, I'm doing a little research on rare pennies, and bam. I see the 1979 no-mint mark penny listed as worth up to $1.6 million. My jaw hit the floor, and I almost spilled my coffee everywhere. I rushed to check my penny, heart pounding, only to realize it was a D-mint mark one. Still, that moment taught me a valuable lesson: always check your pennies, because you never know when one will make you a millionaire. So, what can we learn from all this? A 1979 no-mint mark penny is a serious gold mine, well, copper mine, if you come across one in mint condition. And don't just take my word for it, check your change, look through your old coins, and who knows, you might just have a small fortune sitting in your pocket. Before I wrap up, here's my advice: the next time you find a penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look, maybe even dust off that magnifying glass, and check for those little signs of rarity. And if you ever find a 1979 no-mint mark penny, I suggest holding onto it tight, because you could be holding onto something worth $1.60 million. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay in the loop on more coin tips and tricks, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on all the other coins worth big money. And hey, if you find a hidden treasure yourself, come back and tell me all about it in the comments. I love hearing your stories. Hey everyone! Did you ever imagine that a penny could be worth more than 100 times what you might spend on a cup of coffee? Well, guess what? Some pennies can be worth millions. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1952 mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that could have you staring at your change jar in disbelief. But don't worry, I'm not going to make you hunt for it in your couch cushions. I'll break down the details so you'll know exactly what to look for. And who knows, you might have one of these shiny little gems hidden in plain sight. Alright, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The 1952 mint mark Lincoln penny. If you've never heard of it before, let me tell you, you're not alone. I remember a couple of years ago, I was scrolling through an auction site and thought to myself, what's so special about a 1952 penny? Then I saw it. The price. My jaw literally hit the floor. A mint condition 1952 penny has sold for as much as $1.7 million. That's right, million with an M. And before you say, nah, that's just some crazy online rumor, I can assure you, it's true. And now, the big question is, why? What makes this coin so special that it could land you a fortune? It all boils down to a few key factors: rarity, condition, and a little bit of luck. In 1952, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln pennies at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The 1952 mint mark penny, which comes from the San Francisco Mint, is particularly rare, especially in excellent condition. Here's where things get interesting. The 1952 penny was minted in much lower numbers compared to its counterparts. So, if you're lucky enough to come across one in mint condition, it's highly sought after by collectors. The better the condition, the higher the value. A well-preserved penny, with no scratches, discoloration, or any signs of wear, can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But that pristine, near-perfect example? $1.7 million. Yes, it sounds like a lottery win, but it happens. You might be thinking, okay, but what are the chances I'll find one in my pocket change? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Pun intended. The truth is, most 1952 pennies that are still out there are probably in average to poor condition. But it doesn't hurt to check. I actually went through my own coin jar last year just to see if I had anything of value. And guess what? I found a 1944 wheat penny, which isn't quite a $1 million coin, but it was still cool to find. Here's a little pro tip for you: when you're searching, look for coins with sharp details, vibrant color, and minimal wear. If the penny looks like it's been used to scrape gum off a sidewalk, then it's probably not worth much. But if it's shiny and pristine, well, that's your jackpot. Also, look out for any special features like off-center strikes or unusual die cracks. Coins with these imperfections often carry extra value because they are considered errors, and collectors love them for their uniqueness. So, in summary, the 1952 U.S. Mint Mark Lincoln penny is a rare and valuable coin, with specimens in mint condition fetching upwards of $1.7 million. It's an exciting example of how something as humble as a penny can pack a serious punch in the world of coin collecting, and who knows? Maybe you've got one hidden away somewhere right now. Maybe you'll be the next person to cash in on a small coin with a big reward. Wouldn't that be something? Before you rush off to dig through your coin collection, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on future videos about coins worth money. I'm always hunting for the next big thing in the coin world, and I'll keep you in the loop with tips and strategies for finding valuable coins, just like this one. Trust me, with a little know-how and some luck, you might just find a treasure in your pocket change. And hey, if you ever come across a 1952 U.S. penny worth millions, don't forget to give me a shout out. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. Imagine you're at a flea market, strolling through a pile of pennies, and you come across a 1992 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. You think, hey, it's just a penny, right? No big deal. But, hold on, this penny is a secret millionaire in disguise. Sounds like a stretch? Well, buckle up because in the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you why that 1992 D could be worth a whopping $1.8 million. Yep, you heard that right, $1 million, for a coin that's just sitting in your jar of spare change. Now, you're probably thinking, is this guy serious? A penny that valuable? Well, stick around, because this isn't your ordinary coin chat. We're diving into the fascinating world of rare pennies, and trust me, it's more exciting than finding out your childhood toys are now worth a fortune. But first, hit that subscribe button, because if you want more tips on how to turn your everyday coins into cash, you won't want to miss out on what's coming next. Alright, let's get into it. Now, let's talk about this legendary 1992 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. It's a humble coin that was minted in Denver, and like most pennies, it looks pretty standard. It features the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and Abraham Lincoln himself on the obverse. But here's where things get interesting. It's not just any 1992 penny, this one, in particular, has a unique characteristic that could potentially send it to the moon in value. To give you some background, in 1992, the US Mint released over 6 billion pennies. That's a lot of pennies, right? So, why on earth would one of them be worth millions? Here's the thing, the 1992 D Lincoln penny is incredibly rare in mint condition, meaning it's practically flawless. If you come across a 1992 D penny with no wear and tear, no scratches, no discoloration, it's one of the lucky few that survived 30 years without being thrown into a vending machine, stuck under a couch cushion, or dropped into a muddy puddle. And that rare, perfect condition is what makes it valuable, but that's not all. In 1992, something happened that made the D Mint Mark penny even more interesting, a mistake during the minting process. A number of these pennies were produced with an error, what's known as a close AM variety. The letters A and M in America on the reverse side are closer together than they should be. This small error can significantly boost the coin's value, because collectors love these little quirks. It's the coin equivalent of finding a rare Pokemon card in your cereal box. If you get your hands on one of these 1992 D close AM pennies in mint condition, you could be looking at a value of $1.8 million. Yes, I'm not kidding. While most 1992 pennies are only worth 1 cent, that close AM variety is the holy grail. And here's the kicker, these coins are extremely hard to find, and even harder to get in pristine condition. So if you spot one, you've got yourself a potential jackpot. Now, you might be asking, how the heck do I even know if I've got a close AM variety? Great question. Well, it's pretty simple once you know what to look for. Flip your penny over, and focus on the letters in America on the reverse. If the A and M are close together, like they're in a little coin hug, congratulations. You've found the error. If there's space between the letters, it's a regular old penny, and unfortunately, not worth a small fortune. But don't get discouraged, there are plenty of other coins worth checking out that could have their own hidden value, and you know, this whole thing reminds me of a time when I found a coin that looked exactly like a rare one I had read about online. I was so pumped, thinking I had struck gold. I even took it to a local coin dealer for confirmation. After a few minutes of him inspecting it, he smiled and handed it back, saying, "Nice try, but this one's not the one you're looking for. It wasn't the end of the world, but let me tell you, there's no feeling like the excitement of thinking you found something worth a ton of money, only for it to turn out to be just another shiny penny. Lesson learned. But that's the fun of collecting. It's all about learning, discovering, and sometimes, a little disappointment. But the thrill is totally worth it. Alright, so there you have it, the 1992 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that could be worth $1.8 million if it's in perfect condition and features that close AM error. Who would have thought, right? So, before you toss your pennies into the jar, double check them. It could just be the start of your very own treasure hunt. If you enjoyed learning about this hidden gem, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you won't miss any of my future videos. Who knows? The next penny you find could be worth more than you ever imagined.